Cautious everywhere. Mike McConroy here to bring you another thrilling episode of At Home with the McConroys. I'm going to be interviewing my mum in a minute. She's a vicious little clone, and her name is... Now, she gets really annoyed if you shorten her name too. So make sure, if you ever address her, that you call her... Now, Mother, how are you?
Fuck off, Mike.
Aye, she's been saying that since the moment I was conceived, haven't you, Mother?
Fuck off, Mike. Where's your brother?
All right. She wants to talk to me brother Cautious because, as you'll know, fans, he's the favourite and I'm the little dickhead that nobody wants. Anyway, Cautious, will you come and talk to your mother?
No, I don't want to talk to her.
Now, the first thing you're going to recognise, fans, is that my mother and Cautious both have a very similar voice, and there's an interesting story behind that, isn't there, ma'am?
Well, in the confusion of a very difficult birth, my son and I became identical twins.
Well, that's all been very exciting. Should we go and find my dad now?
Stay away from your father.
Well, no, I just want to...
Stay away from your father.
All right,
Cautious. No, that was me, your mother.
Oh, well, it's very hard to tell. Can I take the blindfold off?
Fuck off.
Right, well, anyway, where is Dad?
Lord Viscount Conroy McConroy to you, you little bastard.
Well, anyway, where is he?
He's locked himself in his study again.
Oh, no! Does that mean...
Yes. For the next 37 days, the house will be bouncing to the sound of Kiss.
You see, Dad's got this new hobby that he's invented for himself. He locks himself in his study and plays for days at a time with his vintage Kiss dolls. Occasionally, he'll slip a note under the door. Oh, there's one there now. I'll go and get it, Mum.
Fuck off, Mike.
No, it's all right. I'll get it. Oh, it's a note to me, Mum. It's a note to me.
What does it say?
It says, fuck off, Mike. Well, anyway. Way up, here we go. He's playing another one. I think he's got his original Kiss dolls out for this particular play. One thing I don't understand, though, he's been in there since before any of us were born. How does that happen?
He shoves stuff through the keyhole.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen Polaroids of that. Anyway, let's see what's going on in Dad's study.
Oh, hang on, I'm going to go and put my makeup on. Hang on a minute. No, I'll put my tin suit on, that's what I'll do. And I'll get a right sparky guitar and blow fire. See you later.
Come on and join the Kiss Army, be one of the boys. Lock yourself away and play with a load of Kiss toys. Daddy loves his dollies, makes them strut round his study. Sachets of ketchup keep his demon doll all bloody.
Oh yeah?
There are very few bands here in Bass Headland to make it through from the other side. But if it wasn't for Kiss, our Bassett shower of piss might never have come alive. Apart from any band that ever came out of crew, non-Bassett seats are very rarely sown. And yes, it's true, in Bass Headland you'll hear the Gary Glitter Band, but that's so Michael Jackson fans don't feel they're here on their own. was still a stupid baby. I knew an older kid called Stat. He confiscated my Sabutio and dropped some magical LPs in my lap. A live destroyer, rock and roll over, sat me down and said, listen to this. I think it's something that your soul has been waiting for. I think it's time you got yourself into Kiss. A hint of danger, they couldn't look stranger, unknown beings set apart from the mass. In the mid-70s, punk seemed too easy for me when compared to the bombast of theatrical flash.
Back in his study, Dad's still playing nice with officially licensed Kiss merchandise.
Hey Gene, you're not playing with them matches, are you? You know what your mum told you about playing with matches? She says you'll share your breath away.
Superhero masked Avengers from outer space and down in hell, blowing fire and shooting rockets.
And they play pretty nifty guitars as well.
Full of kiss and vinegar, became the best at template, and our total lack of talent, well, it just couldn't wait to wrestle free of the demons, shoot to the stars, as explosive as a smoking rocket launching guitar.
So's this.
Was not to love for a warped kid like me, with so much sound and vision coming on my trajectory. We wouldn't be bears at now without that guitar predilection, and Kiss was the gateway to my lifelong addiction. Their unapologetic raw energy led to efficient reaction at the core of me. Too early in my development for lyrics deep and true, just a sparked imagination when there was sod all else to do.
What are your big shoes on? That's right, Chris, put them on. Hey, nice. Hey, your makeup looks great, mate. Oh, cheers, pal, that's great. I really like this bit of starry eyes, you know. Makes me look like a space cadet, doesn't it? Oh, it does, and then silver shoes. Hey, they're great big shoes, they really.
There is only one spaceman. Grease paint didn't make him a star. Just an unknown trio in search of a sound, till Ace came along with his interstellar guitar. The spaceman brought the magic. His sound made it Kiss. The way he's treated now is tragic by a bitchy star child full of vitriolic piss. Started out dangerous, mysterious and mean, a rocket launching fire-breathing heavy metal machine, but living life to excess with too much rapid success, and overkilling merchandise saw the hard edge pay the price. Paul sold his soul to disco, Gene sold lunchboxes, got desperate and panicked with wizards and foxes, made it all so easy for the critics and trolls to ignore their classic tracks and just make fun of the dolls. Once Ace and Peter left, it was never the same. They may have carried on as Kiss, but it was only in name. The old magic was gone, the venues weren't as big. They followed what was in fashion, even wore the odd wig. Finally a reunion saw them back in makeup, back in the public eye and stadiums with new cash to rake up. The return of superheroes, the winning mystique, 3 dynamic Marvel characters, the 4th a little weak.
Meanwhile, back in his study, stripped down to his trolleys, Dad ignored all this and just played with his dollies.
Oh, don't stick your tongue out, kid. Hey, what's going on and all? I don't know better now. People might think it's wrong, eh?
There can only be one demon. There'll only ever be one cat. There could be no other spaceman. Any whiny little bitch can be a starry-eyed brat. There can be no other demon. There'll only ever be one cat. There can be no other spaceman. But any whiny little bitch can be a starry-eyed brat. Bitching through your latest book deal, slinging out mean and bitter blows, accusing those you want to smear of substance abuse when you've a sack of painkillers wherever you go. And it was all done just to try and justify putting yes men on stage that you could keep in hand. All the magic's been replaced now with lookalikes. Without Peter and Ace, you're just your own tribute band.
Again, Mr. Fraley, I can only apologise.
Faced up to my demons down in hell, swing my way through life like a jungle cat. Partied so hard I woke up on Jandel, but I never sunk to being a starry-eyed brat. There can be no other spaceman, only one demon, only one cat. But any whiny little bitch with a book deal can be a miserable starry-eyed brat.
Tell you what, let's put all the handbags in the middle of the floor and dance around a bit. It'll show off our boots to a great effect.
Alright, Nantwich, you wanted the best, but you got the worst. The shittest band in the world. There could be no other spaceman. There'll only ever be one cat. There can only ever be one demon. But any whiny little snot could be a starry-eyed brat. There can only be one demon, only ever be one cat. No one can take the place of Ace the spaceman, but any starry-eyed bitch can be a backstabbing brat. Really is a shame that it ended this way, when they could have kept the legend intact. But instead they dragged it out for 20 more years as a cynical, overpriced tribute act.
Do you believe in rock and roll? All right there, clap your hands.
Rock and roll means being true to yourself, you know that's our philosophy. Why else would a kid from New York be speaking to you now with a southern accent? Now if you really believe in rock and roll like you say you do, why don't you mortgage your home and buy the full VIP package? Well, yeah!
Rockets firing, drums rising, blood-spitting monsters gone wild. My memories of the 70s now tainted by a whiny, backstabbing, money-grabbing star child.
Have you got my mascara?
Let's just get straight on with it, and let's introduce the next act, which is, of course, our old favourite, Reverend Brown, Barrel Cream. Now then, Reverend Brown, Cream, the so-called Reverend Brian McBarrel Cream. What do you have for us on the next? Excuse me, Reverend Brian McBrill Cream, but I have to say that's rather different for you. I was expecting something more on the puritanical, burn the bloody papist kind of track, you know, that you normally follow. So I was quite taken aback by that. I was quite moved, in fact. God love you. God love you very much. Shut your bloody mouth, you papist pig. You bloody... Excuse me, Brian, I'm no papist. I'm a purely Church of Scotland, you can. Shut your mouth. I don't care. You are not an Ulster man, therefore you are damned. You are damned in the face of the God. You are in partnership with the devil, and you will burn in hell. Brian, you get me all wrong. I'm just complimenting you on your change of tack. Get what I mean? Fuck off. Aye, right. Thank you very much, Brian McBrill Cream. Not quite what I'd planned for the religious section of the show, this sort of planned event, but I think you'll all agree it was a social and theological challenge to us all, and we'll thank Brian for that later, maybe around the back of the bike sheds when I put my big boots on. And now for something rather more cheery, I hope, and a slightly different direction to the show. We'll have a little musical interlude. Brian, no, not Brian again. He's had quite enough airplay for the day. We'll try a bit of Martin Stout Rook McDobbin, and let it rip, laddie. Just like it's a Just like it's a Just like it's Just like it's
He takes a lot of my tears. He takes a lot of my tears. He takes a lot of my tears. He takes a lot of my tears.
Just like it's a nutter. Just like it's a nutter. Just like it's a nutter. It's a nutter. Just like it's a nutter. Just like it's a nutter. It's a nutter.
No. I'm sure you'll agree. That was great. That was really good. Thank you very much. I'm sure that the stutty throatiness of it all didn't escape our audience. Jesus God, man. Get that throat sorted out. What is it? Have you got a stout throttching down your throat or what? Jesus, man. And Joseph, what on earth are you talking about? Oh my God, what? For God's God's sake, will you get out of the studio if you're going to make strange noises like that? It's bad enough when you're singing, but we'll let that go. But obviously we can't have that kind of thing broadcast on the radio. See, I ken that guy's been popular with the heavy music fraternity for 30 long, but if you ask me, he's something of a little bit of a weirdo. Well, that goes without saying, right, for being a rock goddess of the heavy music kingdom for as long as he has been, but I don't think anybody would deny that it does smell a little bit fishy. I'm sure you all agree that when I say fishy, I'm sure you don't realise, I'm sure you do realise, beg your pardon. Sure, you're realising that I'm not suggesting it's fishy in any kind of suspicious way, just suggesting it smells a little marine. That is, of course, not to suggest that he is a member of Her Majesty's Royal Marine Corps. Oh no, I'm suggesting that he smells, or at least his throat smells as though he's come out of the ocean, which of course he sometimes does. So there you have it, maybe that's the course. What do you think? Well, you know, I have been known to follow the traditional judo, the Christian ethic of thou shalt not kill. But I have been severely stretched, and as a result of that, I can't stand to ride a bicycle without a good cushion beneath me. With regards to old Stout Throat, the stoutiness of his throat cannot be denied. I think the smell of fishiness, however, is difficult to explain. I know he's fond of fish, but normally only in the matrimonial sense. Nobody could deny that he has been a devout follower and supporter of many fishy causes through his life and indeed through his pants. He's made many donations, contributions, the occasional withdrawal, and has made many probing, penetrating comments and indeed actions into the fishiness of my wibwobbishness. I'm always grateful, of course. I only hope he produces more and more of his excellent musical work so that we all enjoy the rest of our lives. Or at least that portion of it which is spent listening to his supreme lyrical, well, masturbation, I guess, is the best way to explain it, yes. He grabs hold of the lyric and is, by virtue of his stretchy throat, is able to yank it off. And we're all indebted to him for that.
And when it sprayed, it was all tin-free. Came flapping out in big silver strands. I thought it would smell horrible. And I was right when I finally got round to sniffing your hands. You've been splashed by my bomboli there. And as I see it, it's gonna happen every day. Cause I'm a bit of a governor, And if you don't understand, that's because you're not a fully Bears Headlandian player. Coffee gay. It's the only way. Bombly day. Bombly day. Bombly day. Bombly day. Bombly day. I remember many occasions when I was preparing to go in the battle as an officer commanding the advanced troop of the flatulent 37th. As you'll be more than aware, it was always on our way, our code before we went into any major conflagration, any major conflict. But just as the Navy boys have their tot of rum, the daily dose of something fire in the belly, so the flatulent 37s would always breakfast on rancid mulligatawny soup. This would have been prepared at base some months before and carried with us into battle, often for hundreds and thousands of miles wherever the conflict was being conflicted. We would take it with us, and regardless of the stench and the general demeanor of the meal, we would lash it down. We would dip our flagons into the cauldrons of rancid mulligatawny and gulp it down, often in the most appalling conditions, really. It is difficult in the extreme to manage to swallow some of those soup breakfasts that I recall. Fighting constantly against the bulkery of one's tummy. But we felt it absolutely necessary in order to maintain the traditions of the flatulent 37th that we absolutely doused ourselves in the stuff, and I'm absolutely convinced that this contributed to our magnificent record of never ever having attended the battle that we were being designated towards, because we were, in the very truest sense, the Peace Corps. There was no way anyone at all who had breakfasted on that kind of beverage stroke emetic could possibly put up a fight, and my dear, I am absolutely, positively, and inexcusably convinced that this has led to the enormous proliferation of the members of the flatulent 37th, by virtue of the fact that none of them ever attended the battles we were being sent to. So many more of them survived, and as a consequence have passed their genes on and contributed to the gene pool, the general well-being and outward inwardliness of the extrovert recluse in the population. I'm entirely grateful to the fact that I was recruited into this body of men, and that so many of those men have survived the conflict by way of avoiding any unpleasantness with their enemy. That is, of course, the latrines were never a pleasant place by 11s. Most of the mulligatawny had worked its little gastric miracle, and although we felt rather out of sorts and quite uneven to the challenge of joining our comrades in arms,
were over the worst effects of the emesis and the, how shall I say, the catharsis that the ritual breakfast tended to induce in our men. However, I can't think of a single man or officer who ever balked at the challenge of, even by 11, almost certainly by 12 o'clock on the morning of the conflict, being able to take a trip to the pub and possibly have a little light beverage, maybe some solids by that time as well. And so I think I could probably wax on for at least another 5 seconds about these things, but I shan't.
Well, thank you very much, Dale. Thank you very much. History today, as it is and as it always was and as it never will be.